同志们，我们伟大来的，我们是中国现在，China now. Friend or foe, war or peace? With your gang of two, Nansu, who is the senior investigative reporter for Epoch Times, and yours truly, Michael Olson, who is a longtime China observer and a longtime CCP uh, avoider. Gets right down to it. All right, so here we are. On to a lot of news not relating to the visit of Trump to China, but hey, we've been talking about this Trump visit to China for a long time. What made you think? Why did Trump pull this visit off right in the middle of fighting Iran?
Excellent question. Excellent question. I did think about it, and this is what I believe. Trump started military action in Venezuela in January, and
Yes.
then the military operation in Iran at the end of February. Now, and then he stopped. I think that I think this is it's a valid concern about the stability of the Western Pacific region. So he start this negotiation, and but however now see he got everything ready to militarily moving into next step in Iran, but
So
then
we're ready to attack, but we're not.
we were not, but he want to calm down the Beijing's leaders because they are all freak out now because they are facing energy crisis, right?
Well, they're facing an energy crisis and they're facing an enemy who just decapitated their principal allies
That's
in
right.
Venezuela and Iran. So
So
there's lots to be nervous about if you're,
yeah, but so it's a valid concern, if the U.S. military if they move to the next step, Beijing may be uh doing something in Taiwan Strait, or maybe in the Japan Sea, or maybe in the South China Sea. So they're totally scared, so they may do something stupid, right? So I think so Trump basically stopped and moved to Beijing. He bring a bunch of business people, although they probably not really going to start a big investment in China, but at least by bringing all these top business leaders to the to meet with Xi Jinping, and uh and in he come at least he will make well Xi Jinping got what he need first of all, but while at the same time when Xi Jinping got what he need to because you know he look at this visit as a
for his
test
fourth term.
for his fourth term, right? But however, it calmed down a lot of voices inside the CCP that worry about uh, the military operation of U.S. military in Iran, right? So it basically, think about this. Uh, Xi Jinping, Xi Jinping, while this invasion of Taiwan, it's not a priority of Xi Jinping right now. But however, you know, you want this whole regime right now stay put, right?
Right.
While the U.S. military is focusing in the Middle East. So I think it's good. It's a valid concern. He did all that. So now he had Xi Jinping made the public statement say Iran shall not have a nuclear weapon. Now he comes back from China. Then the U.S. military will move forward And while at the same time, our allies in the Western Pacific region, like a Japanese leader, South Korea leader, Taiwan's leader, Philippine leader, and and
Indonesia.
yeah, Australia, New Zealand, even those countries, they will have less anxiety.
Yeah,
So that's pretty good. That's pretty good. So now, so basically, I think Trump comes back, he's fully ready on every aspect.
there you go. So watch out for what happens, what hits the fan when comes back. We'll see, but that's the issue. Lots of news to talk about. One of the pieces that caught my attention was the mayor of Arcadia, California, a little community just north of Los Angeles. Eileen Wang was carrying out espionage on behalf of the Chinese Communist Party and pleaded guilty to the fact and resigned from her position as mayor. And evidently, what she was doing was running a news service that was linked to the CCP, which fed it news items to broadcast to the Chinese community. So it was like the voice of the CCP feeding the Chinese community of Los Angeles. And so the question is, what was she thinking?
I think number one, of course, always money, right? He got to
Yeah.
pay for doing all those things from the CCP, and he got a business benefit, and that's one thing. Um, Now it's sad. Uh, it's sad to see us. First, she's the first immigration, first generation immigrant. But
She came here.
when she came here, yes, she
Yeah.
was a first generation immigrant, but she was brought to United States by her parents. That's a very important when she was a teenager.
Ah.
Now she's 50 something. She's been in the United States for 30 years, which means when she came to United States, what she was probably a close to,
Teens.
yeah, teenagers close to 20s, right?
Yeah.
Around that age. So now you think about that. If that was around 20 or close to 20 when she came to United States, like more than 30 years ago, then her parents, at the time she came with her parents would be somewhere close to 40. Um, Now it's mid-age, and her father was a physician. Her mother is a Chinese acupuncture doctor. Now they probably, I would say so, because I would say so. They probably already partially established. I'm not sure if how established, but at least partially established in China. Now,
As
if
a doctor, as two doctors, you would
yeah,
think they would be.
they
Yeah.
would, right? Now, it's very hard, as a first generation immigrant, myself is also, it's very hard for people. Now, I came here a lot younger, I am when I was 20s, but so I came here, I went straight to school. That's how I came to United States, right? But um, for her parents, uh, partially already established themselves in China, and then make a decision to immigrate to the United States, an entire new nation for them. It's a one.
Tough work.
It's a
Yeah.
huge decision.
They
Probably
probably had to move into a chicken coop or something to live for a while to
yeah,
get
yeah. It's
established.
probably the biggest decision of their whole life.
Yeah.
And now, as a Chinese parent, I my understand to the culture was, when they make that decision, there will be a lot of consideration given to their children, meaning her, right? This Eileen Wang. Now, and that, they basically they want their daughter to be educated in the United States to get a job to live her life in the free land.
Yeah.
That was one of the major reasons I would say,
Oh, that's why they came here.
yeah,
To,
they choose to come to United States, right?
and she did exactly that. She became mayor.
Yeah, yeah,
You
but
know,
then I think she totally broke her parents' heart. Seeing the way she eventually turned back, right, to help Chinese Communist regime. Um, I don't know. This is a really sad story. You think about that. How hard her parents
yeah.
after they immigrate to United States, how hard they have to work to reestablish themselves here in the United States and put their daughter through college here in the United States, pay a lot of money and working very hard. But now, they probably, feel proud of her seeing that she became a business society leader. She was a, um, probably president or of of a Rotary Club,
Those kinds of things. Yeah.
Lions Club, and the Chamber of Commerce, or Chinese parents, some sort of a club. She had all that done. That's why she called herself a community service provider. And after she became the mayor, her parents probably really felt really proud of her. But now, eventually, it turns out the truth is she actually was helping the Chinese Communist regime. That will totally broke her parents' heart.
How many ways does the CCP have at getting at a person in her position? I think back to Eric Swalwell, who was maybe still is a congressman from California, who got hooked up with it.
I think he already left Congress. He
Yeah,
already.
so he was going to leave or get left, as the case may be. But here's Swalwell, as a member of the House Intelligence Committee, was convorting with a Chinese spy who infamously became known as Fang Fang, and that was one way of getting to Swalwell was through the honeypot trick. But here it appears to have been her boyfriend might have been connected with the CCP
Yeah,
to
her
start with.
boyfriend was really sentenced 4 years.
The mayor's boyfriend, as it were.
Yeah,
Yeah.
ex-boyfriend. Yeah,
Okay.
she said, when they already broke up, but eventually, the investigation indicated she knows, what she got into. So
Mhm.
basically,
And
uh,
there was also an article, I think in the Epoch Times, talking about how expats from China who get to the United States and think and breathe a sigh of relief, ah, we're safe, all of a sudden find that the CCP has been visiting their parents in China.
it's
And
true. It's true. I personally interview many political dissidents here in the United States after they left China. Their relatives, their parents, their siblings are threatened by the CCP in China. Just ask, just have their relatives deliver the message to them, saying, just shut up, right? Just shut up, even though you already immigrated into the United States. I did have those kind of conversation with the political dissidents who left China. That's just the normal thing happening to a lot of human rights activists and democracy activists, from China that right now are living in the United States.
And it's easy to get to them when their parents are there, are still there.
Yeah, it depends. It depends how you deal with the situation. If you clearly draw a line, solid line, they wouldn't be able to do much to you actually.
Are we waking up as a people of the United States to the fact that there is this danger of the Chinese Communist Party in the world? Because it seems to me that there are a lot of people here in the United States who look at China and say, look at all the good they have done to the world. Look at how they raised up China to become a prosperous, successful country, and how much good they have brought to the people of China. And they're still living that belief when so many of others of us are going, well, wait a minute. It wasn't China that really brought China up. It was the America that brought China up with its money. Do you think do you think that there is a contention between these two ways of seeing China in the United States? Are we still fighting it out like that?
Well, I think that I saw there are several polls indicate that the Americans have a negative opinion about China. It's like close to 80%. Uh, 80% means what? Just in 1989 and 1990, that was the rate. That was the kind of same rate in 1990. While 1989, China had the Tiananmen Square massacre, and 1990 was just right after the Tiananmen Square massacre. The negative opinion of Americans on China was about 80%. So right now we are up there. So I think as long as our China policy move in the right direction, I think Americans will not make the same mistake again like what they did in the last quarter century.
It's interesting to note that the policies did not change dramatically when the Biden administration took over from the first Trump administration. They pretty much continued the same policies with respect to China.
Yes, except one thing, basically the China policy move in the same direction between Biden and Trump. And what Trump did in his first term was, I learned that from a lot of American think tank I personally in contact with, all these the negative opinion about the Chinese communist regime uh, has always been there. So, but what Trump did in his first term, he was just let all these things out, uh, and he gradually it became
So he gave recognition to the feelings that people were having about China. So,
not the feelings, but the researches is
research,
from the
okay.
think tanks, right? Now, one of the prominent examples is Peter Navarro. Peter Navarro was a White House senior counsel, uh, both in the first term and second term of Trump. And now, before 2016, before Trump started his election campaign, Peter Navarro wrote two books. One is called "The Death Trap" by China. Another one is called, it's named "The Coming War on China." So that's just a prominent example. And now Trump did something outstanding in 2016 as a president-elect, not even sworn into the White House yet, as a president-elect, less than a month after he won the election in November of 2016. I think that was November the 8th. And then that was the election. And then on December the 4th, he picked up the phone, called Taiwan's president. That was never done by any president before Trump. And and also after they too had a phone conversation. Trump's campaign at that time, he was not sworn into the White House yet. At that time, Trump's campaign issued a statement calling Taiwan's president. That's very important. Call her president, not Taiwan's leader, which is recognition of Taiwan's government, right? So, and then in January of 2018, Trump, the second year of Trump in the White House during his first term, he started a trade war with China, 25% tariffs on solar panels from China. That was the official starting point of changing U.S. government's China policy 180-degree from wherever it was before. So, but that change did take time. Is the change by the end of Trump's first term, he he basically got rid of most of the Confucius Institute in the United
All
States.
right.
There are two or three still left, and then Biden came along after he won the election and went to White House in 2021. He continued all the tariffs that Trump imposed on China. Um, and also he moved forward to this a small core tall wall. It's called de-risk, right? It's called it's the process of
Or
de-risk.
deleveraging or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, it's called they call it de-risk, right? So it's to try to curb the U.S. Advanced technology from going to China. But however, one thing Biden did not do very well was, during before Trump left the White House in December of 2020, Trump made the tariffs deal based on the tariffs, a trade deal with China, uh, that the China need to purchase like 25 million tons of beams from United States in 2 years, and
Yeah.
Biden just let it go.
Yeah.
Biden didn't enforce it. So now that I think this time we're going to see if Trump it's going to they're going back. Trump going back to that was the second phase of trade negotiation between United States and China during Trump's first term. So I think Trump probably is going to have China sign up again to buy 25 million tons of beams from United States and bunch of beef and poultries from United States. This is the farm and agricultural product.
And we're looking for some big business in the aviation sector. Hopefully, Boeing's going to pick up a
It
big
doesn't
project.
matter. Those things are actually don't matter. The Boeings because China signed up purchase already in contract buying a lot of Boeing
Yeah.
planes. It's going to take them many years to pay to get the ones they already booked. So it doesn't matter how many more they're going to
All right.
You're talking about like a maybe 50-year plan or 100-year plan.
There
It
you
doesn't
go.
matter anymore. But it's a good number for Trump to bring back to show American people, say, hey, I got some trade deal.
Well, it's good to note that we, as a people here in the United States, do remain skeptical of China. I believe that the conflict between the two nations is existential in nature. I don't think the two can coexist peacefully in the world. It's like fire and water getting
They
along
just need to be
together.
managed like what Marco
It,
Rubio
it
said.
has to be managed like Marco Rubio said. Uh, I know that we're there, but what about our allies throughout the world? Are they still playing business with the CCP?
Yes, our
Well,
European.
that's what we're going to pick up when we come back. We're going to take a quick look at how our allies are responding to the fact that China's industrial policies are hollowing out their industries just like they did our industry. This is China Now with Don Su and Michael Olson, and you right back. Do stay tuned.
It's time now to repair or replace your roof. Hi, folks. Warren Knox here of Knox Roofing. Well, we install leak-proof and fire-proof roofs. Roofs that look nice with a lot of choices of colors and styles. Gutters, skylights, insulation, and roof decks. We only install proven products with warranties unmatched by anybody. Financing is always available, and we have discounts for veterans and seniors. Do business with Knox Roofing, and you'll also receive a free Knox Garden Box. The number to call again is 831-461-0634. Thanks, folks.
It's high time to celebrate the opening of the new Hook Outlet Dispensary, 1129 Mission in Santa Cruz. Get in on the opening fun and really low prices on the Hook's unmatched selection of top-quality medical and recreational cannabis flower, vapes, drinks, gummies, and concentrates. The Hook Outlet is now the West Side's source for finest cannabis at the lowest prices. Get in on all the opening fun and low prices at the all-new Hook Outlet. HookOutlet.com for details and deals.
This is China Now. We are back. Yeah, really quickly, Chinese industrial policies threaten up to $650 billion in manufacturing output from many of the world's most advanced economies. So when Trump threw up the gates and prevented a lot of business from China, what happened is that China just turned and went to work with other countries and opened up new markets and has been doing what to those markets what it did to our markets. So, and one example that you often bring up, Nansu, is the pharmaceutical giant factory being built in China that will be using Russian oil to make pharmaceuticals for the world. And so that's one example. So are our allies waking up to the fact that they're being hollowed out like we were being hollowed out
I think the European airlines they are still years behind the U.S. government's China policy.
in our thinking? Yeah.
Yeah, I used to think that as in the European countries they are like 3 to 5 years behind. If you think about today's, I used to think UK was about 3 years behind, and Germany maybe France they are 5 years behind. But with the UK's Labour Party leader Starmer, in power for last I don't know year or 2 years, I think UK is getting like 5 years behind too. Um, now,
Another country that's suffering from the same malaise, I think, is Canada.
oh yeah, well,
Can
I don't even
Canada is
want to
just
talk about that. Canada, it's like going to China to try to have all these things done, the trade and economic relations. And you know what they saying? That they because all these European countries plus Canada, those their leaders, their mind, their mentality is still in the global economy era.
global economy. Yeah.
They want to cheat China with DEI. I mean, come on, they want to kill us, and then you want to DEI. DEI doesn't work, right? So you can't include all China, Russia, all this country. You cannot, treat them with DEI and trying to incorporate them into our system. It doesn't work. And quite honestly, this is exactly the reason how this global economy failed. You can't have all these countries to based on they have a totally different mentality based on different value system, and then you include them in the so-called globalized economy. It just doesn't work.
Well, it seems like when Trump came into office this past January, could it have been, or is it, holy smoke,
Yeah, it's last year,
last
January
year?
of last year.
So we've been in business with Trump for a year, a little over a year, a few months, and essentially, it seems like the United States did it at about face forward march, and we just changed direction, just like that,
Well,
leaving all the rest of the developed nations in this DEI world that of Joe Biden and the liberal democratic parties of the countries. So still in that diversity, equity, and inclusion mentality, whereas Trump turned America around on its heels and went to battle. They're not battling. They're accepting Chinese stuff
yeah, all these
to the
European
detriment of
leaders.
their own industries.
Yeah, this is what our European allies doing, right? So you look at, they don't even want to defend their own sovereignty. I mean, when their oil tankers were attacked by Iran, that's an attack to their sovereignty. I mean,
Yes.
and they didn't even want to do anything to protect their own oil tankers. That's how chicken out they are. And you look at Germany. Germany criticized Trump's leadership on this
Well, they all have.
on
You
the
know,
Middle East,
they
right?
all look down their nose at Trump.
And if you look at Trump's national security strategy published in November of last year, I think that in the whole thing, the whole 25 pages of national security strategy, Trump mentioned Taiwan 6 times, and it didn't mention any other European country's name except Germany. And he mentioned Germany's name specifically for the reason that Germany was building some of the world's largest chemical plants in China by using oils from Russia. So they make Chinese leaders very happy.
Is Europe in the same boat energy wise as China?
Well,
I
you
mean,
know,
China absolutely needs oil from somebody else. Europe, though it has the North Sea and it's really shut down a lot of its oil production for the sake of environmental concerns, is it not in the same position now that China is with respect to needing energy?
well, China doesn't shut down their oil, right? They don't shut down their oil. They don't even shut down their coal mine. We'll see if China is going to buy any coals from United States.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, because
So
China is the if you look at it, the fact is China is the biggest consumer country of coal and biggest purchaser of the coal and biggest also production of coal mine in the world. So that's three together, because they are importing the coals. So why not from the United States? In the past that they imported a lot of those things from Australia. So
I've seen the trains going across Montana heading for Seattle, mile after mile of trains carrying coal.
Yeah.
And why not buy it from the United States? So is that Trump looking for money in Beijing?
Yeah, Trump want the money. That's just one reason. Except I don't think he can get much money from Chinese regime leaders. They probably will just because Trump's tariffs. Trump because they figure out Trump is going to get the money anyway, with or without trade. No, I'm sorry. Uh, without uh making the concession on Iran, Trump is going to get their money. So the tariffs is there. So instead of turn down what Trump want, they will just say, hey, they will buy the oil. They'll continue to buy the oil from United States because they have nowhere else to turn to, right? And then if they already buying our oil, why not anything else? Coal will be another thing they're going to buy.
And the United States is now the world's largest exporter of oil. Amazing.
Yeah.
Um, Perhaps we could sell some coal too. That would be great. But I'm sure that Xi Jinping is going to be bringing up Trump's tariffs and the fact that his industries, China's manufacturing industries, uh, are are now being hollowed out as well by virtue of the fact many of those manufacturing companies have picked up stakes and moved to Vietnam or Indonesia or India or Mexico or someplace else. So many of China's manufacturing companies have gone. And I would suspect that's a big source of the CCP's revenues is selling us stuff. And it always has been. And we still are a net debtor to them when it gets right. We buy much more from them than they buy from us. Oil will help, coal would help, soybeans would help, beef would help. And is that what Trump is pushing?
Uh,
Buy,
uh,
buy.
well, it takes a long time, right? See, Trump has all these plans to bring the manufacturer back to the United States to strengthen the middle class. Uh, you know,
Well, it's a
uh,
great battle cry, but it takes time to move a
yeah,
factory.
that's why the peace is so important in the Middle East and in the Western Pacific, and that's why we cannot allow uh, China to invade Taiwan, and we also cannot allow the Iranian regime to have nuclear power. So that's all, feeding to this umbrella of strategic thinking.
When I think of Taiwan, I think I think of it as the cork in the champagne bottle. You know, once you pop that cork, China's going to bubble out all over the Western Pacific by virtue of the size of its military.
Right. So I think that that's why this trade and economic relation is important at this moment, right? While our military operations still going on in the Middle East, we need to maintain the peace and stability in the Pacific region. And I think that's all Trump is going, all the reason behind Trump actually going to Beijing.
And probably the same reason he went to Iran
Yeah,
and
possibly.
maybe even Venezuela too.
Well, you think about that, Iran, in the Middle East, this military operation actually drive all the Middle East countries except Iran coming to
Together.
our side, right?
I know this is a cynical thought, but do you think Trump talked Iran into shooting rockets at all of its neighbors?
Yeah, of course. No, Iran basically, all these countries like um Saudi and especially UAE,
Yeah.
they're attacking back, right? They launch missiles against the Iranian regime. So basically, in a way, to different levels of certain extent, these GC countries they are already standing on our side, facing Iranian regime's attack.
And some say they're even there fighting as we speak.
I don't know about that.
Well, do you think it possible that those countries that have up to date hosted Iran's surrogate armies, like Hezbollah and Hamas and the Houthis and whatnot, do you think they will not stop looking at those armies kindly, uh, seeing that there will just be a never-ending warfare if they allow them to persist as they have been? I mean, do you think there's any hope in that?
Oh, I think I have a lot of hope after we dismantled, if after the U.S. military dismantled the Iranian regime's military, a lot could happen. But of course, there is always a risk that after spend all the money and doing everything you possibly could do, um, then the regime still exists. Uh, I so I don't know enough about the situation in the Middle East, although I do pay attention to it. But it wouldn't be my call when will be the yeah, I don't know how to call when will be the point that Trump can have all the Iranian protesters to get back to the streets.
Well, I would be kind of nervous of getting back to the street if I was a protester because you know that they're going to be shooting first and ask questions later. The IRGC is probably pretty frightened as we speak because of all of those people who would like to put an end to them. So tough world out there. So here we are. We're in Beijing with Trump as we speak, and a pretty big deal.
Oh, it is. It
After all of the
absolutely
talking, I
is.
mean, it's truly amazing that after all of the talking, that Trump actually pulled this off, that he actually went there. At the same time, he's got his foot on the throat of Iran, which is China's principal ally in the area. I think Iran is probably China's most important ally, maybe even more important than Russia. I don't know.
It is true because, about equally, I would say, especially after the Ukraine war, right? China, China buy oil from both Russia and Iran, and Russia regime, and Chinese regime, they back each other, right? They back each other. So and it's important, and South China has a very very long border with Russia. To build an ally with Russia, facing the entire Western world, it's very important to China. So, in the last few years, Russia has been kept weakening, and same as North Korea, that because their economies are not good. And now there's Iran joining the gang of three already, and then you have Iran in joining it. So that's it.
What do you look for that we haven't seen from this Xi Trump face to face? I
Well,
mean, there's
I think I don't know because it was interesting. I heard somewhere on the internet. I wasn't able to verify if it was true or not. They say this is what they say. I heard from the internet that say originally Iran was not even on the agenda. Now, when Scott Basin first of all went to
South Korea.
South Korea, and China's vice premier He Lifeng went to South Korea. When they met, that was the time that Scott Basin received a strong request that China want to put Iran on the agenda. So that was I'm not sure if that's true or not, though. I haven't, independently verified.
Well, China needs the oil from Iran. China needs Iran to open up shipping in through the Hormuz Straits. China needs the ships to get in and out of there. So Trump has Xi Jinping in an interesting place in this blockade of Iran.
Yep.
So so in one sense, we're talking about just getting along in the world, and in actuality, we're having it out in Iran. We're fighting. We've decapitated the leadership of Iran. Now there's nobody to talk to.
Yeah, well, China, I think even though well, even though they Xi Jinping make the public statement that Iran shall not have a nuclear weapon, but I think China and Russia both will still support Iran in different way. You know, so Iran will still get their supply line from Russia through Caspian Sea, and also supply line from China by the railroad connections. So I think it's better, U.S. military just as quick as possible, finish the job, destroy or dismantle their entire nuclear weapon program, and then you know, just um, finish it basically.
Is not the ICRG, the
IRGC.
IRG, Islamic Republican Guard
Uh-huh.
Corps, is not it in a do or die situation?
I think so. I think, based on you look at the past months of whole months of negotiation, inside Iran, there are four factions, right? You have the um, uh, government official, that's more because it's a president, it's a reformist, right? So they are more a lot more moderate than the other groups, and then they are regular military, with pretty much possibly and very much possible in line with their government officials. Then you have IRGC, right? IRGC, it's probably
The
30,
wild card.
yeah, 30% of their regular military. That's a hardliner, and then you have them ayatollahs. Those are the hardline, religious leaders. So you have a two against the two, right? Two factions, modern way, the maybe willing to negotiate with the United States, and then you have other two who want to take a very strong position against the United States. That's what's happening. So I think the next phase of the military operation, if we are going to go in there, it's first of all, there need to be more decapitation of those hardline leaders, right? And
Yeah.
then another thing is how we're going to get those nuclear ash out.
And if we do go back in, Nansu, do you think it will be as easy as the first time we went in? Or do you think that the
Well, they reach
IGRC will
IRGC.
we'll get it sooner or later? Didn't even know they existed here a couple months ago, and now here we are, IRGC. They are the hardline. They are the ones who are not going to give up. They're going to go to heaven and reap their 17 versions, as it were, and happily so, at the behest of the clerics. Uh, do you think going in again will be as easy as the first time, or do you
Probably not.
probably not?
Yeah, but however, uh, U.S. military still hold the decisive advantage, upper hand, right? Because all their missile defense system are gone,
If
and
all
Air
is
Force
all of
gone.
it gone though? That's the question. I guess I really wanted to ask. Or
Well, at least their air defense system are totally dismantled. I would say they have no way to shoot. It's very to if for the U.S. Like a B-2, B-52 bombers, I don't think they have any way to reach them. Uh, it just flies so high. Um, and I don't think they actually even come close to the naval power of U.S. military. So those things U.S. military still hold upper hand. But however, in the past months, I would say they probably got a lot of things from China and Russia,
yeah,
so that we need to be careful there.
that's what I was wondering. So, given the fact that there is a ceasefire, given the fact that Trump is in Beijing holding talks, uh, given the fact that the stock market is going through the roof today in anticipation of everything working out just fine, we're talking about the need to continue the fight. That if we don't go back in and clean house, it will not end.
Right. And oh yeah, this now thank you for mentioning the stock market price. China's stock market price also rise a big time. So you can see that this is the effect that Trump's visit brought. See, people will ha hate to see those market collapse, and that's
It's
uh,
everybody's money. Yeah.
yeah, everybody's money. So I think that that's a good result of Trump's visit, and then hopefully that they
Hopefully it
will
continues.
have a more. They will have more to come. Yeah, they have more because they still have half day, right? They still have a half day. They what they say is Trump is going to spend a morning maybe late morning with a she, and then they two was going to have lunch. After that, Trump is on his way back to the United States.
Well, goodness sakes, there it is, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for tuning in.